Hello, Morongo Basin, and listeners around the world online at Z107.7 FM.com. Here is the Z107.7 Local news for Monday, January 20th, 2025. Today is Martin Luther King Jr. Day, an observance of the civil rights leader's birthday. As such, government agencies, including local municipalities, county services, including courts and records, and federal agencies, including the United States Post Office, will be closed until tomorrow. Morongo Unified School District schools are closed for today. The San Bernardino County Sheriff's Morongo Basin Station will be closed. For law enforcement contact, please call non-emergency dispatch at 909-387-8313. If you are looking for something to do with your time off today, you can celebrate Martin Luther King Jr. Day with a free visit to Joshua Tree National Park. The Free Admission Day is part of a nationwide initiative by the National Park Service, encouraging visitors to experience the park's extensive hiking trails, panoramic vistas, and dark skies, perfect for stargazing. While admission fees are waived, standard charges for camping, tours, and other amenities still apply. Check the National Park Service website for current conditions, parking updates, and restrictions. The 29 Palms Planning Commission will hold their first meeting of the new year tomorrow at 5 p.m. There are 2 public hearings. Here's reporter Annalise Kuiper with more on the meeting.
The first public hearing concerns the extension of the site plan review for the Choya Laundromat. In July 2022, the Planning Commission approved a site plan review for the construction of a 3,748 square foot laundromat on Choya Avenue. The laundromat is now requesting an extension to the site plan review until July 2026. The second public hearing concerns a recycling buyback centre small collection facility, which is requesting a conditional use permit. This project was originally submitted as an administrative use permit. At the December meeting, the Commission directed the applicant to submit a conditional use permit. The recommendation is to approve the conditional use permit for the recycling centre, which is not to exceed 500 square feet. Reporting for Z107.7 News, I'm Annalise Kuiper.
The Morongo Grade, one of the primary routes into the Morongo Basin and the closest connection to Palm Springs to the 10 freeway, is a treacherous stretch of road that often sees closures due to major accidents. On last week's episode of the Z107.7 Up Close show, host Gary Daigneault spoke with 2 California Highway Patrol officers, Michael Radford and Jake Griffith, about safety improvements made to the grade over the last several decades and the best ways you can navigate one of our area's major thoroughfares safely. Here's a snippet from their conversation.
For some reason, people feel that the top of the grade is the beginning of a racetrack. What is that phenomenon?
A lot of people think that if there's any sort of slope, they don't need to apply their brakes. That just means the speed limit is exempt. However, it's not. Speed limits are set for a reason, and that's after a lot of work. Engineers and Caltrans is the one who sets the speed limits, but they do a lot of studies and the amount of people that drive through the area, the amount of pedestrians in the area, businesses. And they're not just arbitrarily choosing these numbers. They're there for a reason.
Now, the grade has gone through a lot of changes, especially because you're local. You know what I'm talking about. They didn't used to have the K-rail in the middle. Done some work on some of the curves. Can you give us some of the things you've seen being done on the grades to make them safer for people, or protect people from
Since
themselves?
I was growing up here, the Morongo grade didn't even have a divider, which is a very dangerous canyon area to not have a divider. Indian Canyon was a stop sign. I'm sure you remember that.
Yep.
And then after I got hired, they started making some additional improvements, like in the Yucca grade area and the dividers that they've put in Morongo Valley, because there were a lot of head-on crashes, and those generally can be the most dangerous crashes and often end in a fatality if you're two vehicles traveling the opposite direction at high rates of speed. That force is extremely dangerous. So we're happy that they did make those improvements in that area, because it has decreased the amount of fatal traffic collisions.
I remember some of us were skeptical about the barriers being put up on specifically the Yucca grade. We knew that it would, and it has limited our ability to do enforcement to an extent.
Because you can't get from one lane to the other. You got to drive up and down to the end of the K-rail.
That's correct.
Yeah.
But we have seen a decrease in head-on collisions, and and therefore fatalities. So I think it's been a good thing.
What are your advice to local drivers on the grade?
Follow the speed limits.
You can hear their full conversation by listening to the Up Close show as a podcast at our website, Z107.7fm.com, or wherever you get your podcasts. Food will be distributed throughout the high desert today. Food distributions occurring in various locations across the Morongo Basin have been organized by the San Bernardino Community Action Partnership in association with the USDA. The San Bernardino Community Action Partnership says that they will be distributing food at Belfield Hall in Landers from 8:30 a.m. to 10:30 a.m., the Yucca Valley Community Center from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m., the Joshua Tree Community Center from 10 a.m. to noon, and the 29 Palms Community Pantry and Outreach from 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. You can see full details at this story on our website, Z107.7fm.com. The Z Club in Joshua Tree is hosting a night of laughter for a good cause with Escape from LA, a comedy show fundraiser to support victims of the recent Los Angeles fires. Reporter Hillary Sloan has more.
On Tuesday, January 21st at 7 p.m., comedians from Los Angeles and the high desert will gather at the Z Club in Joshua Tree for a special evening of humor and hope. Escape from LA is a fundraiser to benefit those impacted by the devastating fires in Los Angeles, which have left many residents and families in need of assistance. Attendees can expect a night of laughter, community spirit, and the chance to contribute to a meaningful cause. Donations are accepted at the door, and 30% of sales will be donated directly to relief efforts through calfunds.org. The comedy event is at the Z Club in the courtyard of the Shops at Zanies in Joshua Tree. Don't miss this night of comedy and compassion. For Z107.7, this is reporter Hillary Sloan.
And finally, solar energy, power generation, and electricity shutoffs will be the topics at this year's Morongo Basin Conservation Association annual meeting. The organization is holding its 56th annual meeting on Saturday in the Yucca Valley Community Center. The accomplishments of the MBCA over the previous year will be presented and an opportunity provided to meet local conservation advocates. The keynote speaker will be Bernadette Del Cherio, Executive Director of the California Solar and Storage Association, who will discuss the state of rooftop solar and battery technology. Steve Blackledge, the Senior Director of the Conservation America campaign, will speak on nationwide conservation efforts and the efforts to prioritize solar in built environments like roofs and parking lots. Beginning at 9:30 a.m., there will be an opportunity to speak with local solar contractors who will provide information on their services. The formal program begins at 10 a.m. Light breakfast and lunch will be served. They encourage in-person attendance, but there will be a Zoom link. You can find the link in this story at our website, Z107.7fm.com. That's our local news. Hear local news 7 times a day, 7 days a week at 7, 8, 9, noon, 4, 5, and 6. If you hear about news happening, let us know. Email us at tips@Z1077fm.com. Reporting for the Morongo Basin News Leader, the award-winning Z107.7 Local News, I'm News Director Jeff Harmatz.